Let's have some fun with today's video. Let's say I were forced to choose just 3 exercises to do for the rest of my life. What would they be? Well, thank God I'm not forced to choose, but in this hypothetical scenario, let me tell you what I would and why. Exercise number 1, offset, clean, and thruster. Now, I know you're probably saying, that's bullshit, that's cheating. That's basically 3 exercises wrapped into one. And to that, I'd say number 1, it's my list, I gotta choose. But 2, that's true, and that's exactly why I would choose it. Let's look at the offset, clean, and thruster, and let me explain why I absolutely love it. Number 1, it's a multi-joint movement. It's a ballistic hip hinge, a squat, and an overhead press all wrapped into one movement. And obviously, if you look at all 3 of those movements, they're going to tax a large number of muscle fibers all at the same time. And that is going to be a common theme that you see with each one of the 3 exercises that I choose. They're going to get a lot done in a tight window of time. But let's also look at the fact that it is offset in nature. And why is that important? Because when it's pulling you into lateral flexion, or when it's pulling you forward into thoracic flexion, you have to stay nice and tight throughout your core and your back to prevent that from happening. So not only are you getting a lot of work done with the muscles responsible for the clean, the muscles responsible for the squat, the muscles responsible for the overhead press, but you're also having to work overtime with the core work that is done via the anti-lateral flexion and anti-thoracic flexion nature of the offset movement itself. So on top of that, you can also have a little bit of fun by altering the tempo. You can go slow with the eccentric. You can add a 3-second pause. There's a lot you can do with this that makes it one hell of a versatile kettlebell movement that gets a lot done in a tight window of time. So exercise 1, offset, clean, and thruster. Exercise number 2 is going to be the pull-up. And I get people hate pull-ups, but you know what? I've found that the things that typically people hate doing, because let's face it, they're probably hard and they humble you, are the things that turn you into a badass. That's just generally true. The things that are hard typically get you where you want to be with your fitness goals a lot sooner rather than later. And pull-ups are probably top of that list. Not only is it going to be the opposite of part of that vertical push that you get with the thruster, which it creates that balance that I'm a big fan of. But if you look at what it's doing, it's getting you out again of that chronic position of thoracic flexion that so many of us are in when we're at work, all right? 99% of us are working at a desk and hunched over all day. So anytime we can implement exercises that pull us out of that thoracic flexion and into extension, it's going to really mitigate a lot of the concerns that we have for being in that thoracic flexion state for a long period of time. All right, and the beauty of this is, again, you can really mix it up by changing the grips, going wide, regular, neutral, narrow. You can add a towel grip. You can add a weight vest. You can add band tension. You can, again, add a pause, go slow in the eccentric. There's a lot you can do with this movement that really hits different areas of not only the back, but also rear delts, traps, rhomboids, biceps, as well as your grip and your core too. So, number 2, the pull-up. And lastly, exercise number 3 is going to be taking it back to my strongman days, doing probably the most functional exercise anyone has ever done throughout the history of man. And that is going to be heavy farmer's walks. Moving heavy objects from point A to point B by simply picking them up and walking with them. You don't want to be the dad that gets seen doing 3 trips to move all the groceries into the house. Hell no. You want your kids seeing you as a superhuman badass. You want all those groceries going in one trip. And tell me that isn't the definition of the functionality of the farmer's walks. Okay, so do some heavy farmer's walks. Not only will it help you get all the groceries in one foul swoop, but obviously it's going to build vice grips, bigger forearms, and bigger shoulders, and bigger back, stronger core, better hips. Dude, HIIT does it all in one simple package, okay? So, there you have it. My 3 exercises that I would do if I were forced to just choose 3 exercises to do from this point forward. I want to know what you think though. Enough about my list. I want to hear about what your list would be. If you had to choose just 3 exercises to do from this point forward, what would they be? Leave your response down in the comment section below, and let's create some fun, respectful rebuttal based off my list.